The standard story of civilization goes something like this. About 10,000 years ago, humans figured out how to grow wheat. With wheat, they could make bread. With bread, they had a stable food source. With a stable food source, they stopped wandering, settled into villages, built cities, invented writing, and ended up here. You, watching this on a screen made by a global supply chain. Agriculture leads to bread, leads to civilization. Bread is the foundation. Bread is the answer. This story is in every textbook. It has been told to children for generations. And the more closely archaeologists look at the actual evidence, the more they are starting to suspect that this story might be backwards. Almost completely backwards. Because there is a quietly growing pile of evidence that humans did not settle down to grow wheat for bread. They settled down to grow wheat for beer. And civilization itself, all of it, the cities, the kings, the religions, the entire fabric of modern human life, might exist because some ancient person 10,000 years ago got very, very drunk and decided they wanted to do it again. So how did this happen? To understand it, you have to go back to a problem that has bothered archaeologists for over 100 years. The transition from hunting and gathering to agriculture is, on the surface, a complete mystery, because it makes almost no sense. For most of human history, our ancestors were hunter-gatherers. And here's the strange part. Hunter-gatherers had it pretty good. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies, like the Hadza in Tanzania, show that they typically work only 3 to 5 hours a day to meet their basic food needs. The rest of the time, they socialize. They rest. They make tools. They tell stories. Their diet is varied. Their bodies are strong. Their skeletons, when examined, show fewer cavities, fewer broken bones from labor, and taller average heights than the early farmers who replaced them. So when humans switched to farming, around 10,000 years ago, they were not switching from a life of misery to a life of comfort. They were doing the opposite. Early farmers worked harder, often 12 hours a day or more. They ate a narrower, less nutritious diet. They were shorter. They had more cavities. They were more vulnerable to disease because they were now living in dense settlements next to their own waste. They were less healthy in almost every measurable way, which raises the obvious question. Why on earth did they do it? Why did our ancestors voluntarily abandon a life that was, by every measurable standard, better, to dig in the dirt for 10,000 years? The traditional answer has always been bread. Bread is reliable. Bread can be stored. Bread can feed an army. But the problem with this answer is that bread is not actually that exciting from a nutritional perspective. It is mostly carbohydrate. It is hard to digest. It does not contain many vitamins. A hunter-gatherer diet of meat, fish, fruit, nuts, and tubers is, calorie for calorie, far more nutritious than a diet built around grain. So why would anyone trade their old diet for bread? In 1953, a botanist named Jonathan Sauer asked exactly this question at a conference of archaeologists in Chicago. And he suggested something that, at the time, was considered ridiculous. He proposed that the first cultivated grains were not grown for food at all. They were grown for alcohol. The room laughed. The idea was filed away as a curiosity. For decades, almost nobody took it seriously. And then the evidence started to appear. In 2018, a team of archaeologists led by Li Lu at Stanford University was excavating a cave site called Raqefet in modern Israel. Inside this cave, they found stone mortars that had been carved into the bedrock around 13,000 years ago. These mortars had clearly been used for processing plants. The team analyzed the chemical residues at the bottom of the mortars. What they expected to find was evidence of grain being ground for flour. What they actually found was evidence of starch undergoing fermentation. They had stumbled onto the oldest evidence of beer brewing ever discovered. 13,000 years old. 1,500 years older than the earliest evidence of bread baking. 1,500 years older than the invention of agriculture. The Raqefet brewery was made by Natufian hunter-gatherers, people who were still living the old way, still mostly nomadic, who had not yet figured out farming. And yet, here they were, going to extraordinary lengths to gather wild grains, soak them, mash them, ferment them, and turn them into a low-alcohol, porridge-like beer. They were doing all of this thousands of years before anyone planted a single seed on purpose. The team published their results. The world's archaeology departments stopped laughing, and other discoveries followed. At Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a massive complex of carved stone pillars built about 11,000 years ago, archaeologists have found enormous stone vessels capable of holding hundreds of liters of liquid. Chemical analysis suggests they once held fermented grain. At a hunter-gatherer site in southern Egypt, ancient ovens dating back over 15,000 years have been found, but they were not used for bread. They were used for slow-cooking grains in water, almost certainly for making fermented mash. Across multiple regions, across the entire transition from hunter-gatherer to farmer, the same pattern emerges. The earliest evidence of grain processing, almost everywhere, is for beer or beer-like fermented drinks. Bread, in most regions, comes thousands of years later. Now here is where the theory gets really interesting, because this changes the entire story. If our ancestors were already gathering wild grains in massive quantities, not for food but for fermentation, then the path to agriculture starts to look completely different. The argument, sometimes called the beer before bread hypothesis, goes like this. Hunter-gatherer communities discovered that wild grains, when soaked in water and left alone, would naturally ferment. Yeasts in the air would land on the grain. The starches would convert into sugars. The sugars would convert into alcohol. The result was a thick, slightly sour, low-alcohol drink that produced a mild buzz, a warm feeling, and a strong sense of social bonding when consumed in groups. Now imagine being the first humans to experience this. For 200,000 years, your species had no consistent way of altering its mood. Religion, music, dance, storytelling, and sex were the only tools available for emotional escape. And then, somebody, somewhere, took a sip of fermented grain mash and felt something they had never felt before. They felt loose. They felt warm. They felt brave. They felt connected to the people around them. They felt happy in a way they had not even known was possible. And they wanted more. Suddenly, gathering enough wild grain to make beer became a community priority, and then a community obsession. And gathering wild grain was hard. You had to compete with birds, mice, and other foragers. Wild grasses scatter their seeds the moment they ripen, making them difficult to harvest in bulk. To get enough grain for a whole community to drink, you needed huge amounts. And the only way to reliably produce huge amounts was to start protecting certain wild grass patches, weeding out competitors, saving seeds, eventually planting seeds in places that were easier to defend. Agriculture, in this version of the story, was not invented to feed humanity. It was invented to keep the party going. Once humans started planting grain on purpose, the rest of civilization followed. Beer required storage, so they built granaries. Granaries had to be defended, so they built walls. Defended settlements attracted more people, so they became villages. Villages became towns. Towns became cities. Beer also required scheduling. You had to know when to plant, when to harvest, when to mash, when to ferment, when to drink. Calendars, records, counting. The first written symbols we have from ancient Sumer on clay tablets from over 5,000 years ago are not poems or prayers or laws. They are receipts. Beer receipts. The very first thing humans wrote down, with the first writing system ever invented, was how much beer somebody owed somebody else. Some of the earliest legal codes in history, like the Code of Hammurabi from ancient Babylon, contain detailed laws regulating tavern owners and the proper measurement of beer. In ancient Egypt, beer was so important it was used as currency. Workers building the pyramids were paid in beer rations, several liters per day per worker. The pyramids themselves, in a literal sense, were built on beer. Some of the oldest religious rituals in human history, from Mesopotamia to the Aztec Empire to ancient China, revolved around fermented beverages. The Sumerians had a goddess of beer named Ninkasi, with a hymn written in her honor that doubles as the world's oldest beer recipe. Beer was woven into birth, marriage, harvest, and death. It was given to gods. It was used to seal contracts. It was poured over the foundations of new buildings. In some ancient cultures, drinking beer together was the literal definition of becoming part of the community. And here's the kicker. Modern genetic studies have found something extraordinary about humans. Almost every adult human on Earth has the ability to digest alcohol. This is unusual. Most animals cannot process alcohol efficiently. Their bodies treat it as a poison. But humans, somewhere in our evolutionary history, evolved a mutation in a gene called ADH that allows our liver to metabolize ethanol up to 40 times faster than other primates. This mutation appeared about 10 million years ago, long before agriculture, probably to let our ancestors safely eat fermenting fruit that had fallen to the forest floor. But once we settled down and started brewing on purpose, that ancient mutation became one of the most consequential adaptations in human history. Our ability to handle alcohol is not a defect. It is one of the things that may have made civilization itself possible. So now imagine the scene. 12,000 years ago, a small community somewhere in the Near East. The harvest is in. The grain has been soaking in a clay pot for days. Somebody scoops out a cup of the thick, frothy, slightly sour liquid. They drink it. Their cheeks flush. Their voices get louder. They laugh. They sing. They feel, for the first time, something that no human has ever felt before, the soft golden glow of a slightly buzzed evening, surrounded by friends, under a sky full of stars. And the next morning, sore-headed and quietly humbled, they think to themselves, we need to grow more of that. From that simple thought, civilization unfolds. Cities, writing, religion, empires, roads, money, the pyramids, the Roman Senate, medieval monasteries that perfected brewing techniques, industrial breweries, the pub, the bar, the microbrewery on your street corner. All of it, a vast, 12,000-year-long chain reaction, started by a few hunter-gatherers who tasted something fizzy at the bottom of a stone bowl and decided they wanted to feel that way again. So tonight, if you ever clink a glass with a friend, remember that you are doing something ancient. You are doing something deeply human. You are participating in a ritual older than agriculture, older than cities, older than writing, older than any country that exists on a modern map. The grain in your glass is the direct descendant of the wild grass that lured our ancestors out of the forest. The yeast in your beer is the same species of fungus that gave our ancestors their first taste of joy in a cup. The toast you make tonight is a small echo of every toast made for the last 12,000 years, in every community of humans that ever sat down to share food, to share company, and to share a tiny golden moment of relief from the long, hard work of being alive. They didn't know any of this, but now you do.